Okay, so here's a picture of the entrance to the actual site. You come up from a road and it's quite a steep embankment to get down to where the actual mine tailings pond is because it is located within a valley. Here's a picture just showing when we went out to the site the second time in November. All of the plants had produced many seed pods, and so we decided to go and take those seeds from each one of the plots, extract them, and weighed them out and reseeded them, evenly distributing them across each one of the plots. Here's just another picture showing us grabbing the seeds from the plants. A little close-up of the pods. Now, this was our soil sampling device that we put together. We actually got it from a local shop. We had to figure out a way, because we couldn't bring a traditional Dutch auger, which we normally use here in Canada for extracting soil samples. And so this is just basically two shovels that are held together. Here's just another shot. We took one soil sample from each plot because we wanted to determine how the composting amendments were affecting the quality of the soil in terms of the pH, the electrical conductivity, all of the heavy metals that were present, and the nutrient availability. So here's just a close-up of when we actually extracted the soil samples. They were quite wet. We came there at the end of the rainy season and it had rained quite a bit. Just a close-up of we would take the top layer and mix it up, and take the second layer and mix it up and put them into soil bags, which we got from an accredited lab out of Canada in Calgary. Each bag was appropriately labeled. We did have issues with the moisture content because it was so wet, but it ended up working out. And here's just how we set up our soil sampling device. Basically, we marked areas on the shovel so that we knew here is the 0 to 6 inch layer of the soil sample, and then we did a further 6 inch to 12 inch so that we could determine the differences between the top layer and the lower layer. So both samples, like the top sample from 0 to 6 inches, was analyzed separately than the bottom sample from 6 to 12 inches. Now, here is a picture of the site when we came back in November. This is after the rainy season, and we were very impressed with the results. It was like a little jungle in the middle of the desert. We came out there, this entire area surrounding had received the same amount of rain, but as you can see, there's nothing even close to growing on here, and all of our control plots and even the line plots didn't show any growth. Whereas the amendments that were created for this project were absolutely outstanding. As you can see, all of the plots basically are overgrown with vegetation, and so it just shows how drastic a difference that top 0 to 6 inches where the amendments were incorporated, how drastically it actually changes the properties of the mine tailings. And it shows huge potential for the actual revegetation of this entire area. What we're wanting to do eventually is to come in and start establishing some of the native trees out here. Based on the data that we have gathered from this pilot project, it looks very promising. Here's Dr. A standing in one of the plots. I just wanted to give a pretty good idea of exactly how tall the vegetation got in this short period of time. As you can see, a lot of it is as tall or taller than him. There were times when I was walking through the plots gathering vegetation data where I almost got lost because it was so deep. This is just one of the holding ponds that is located within the mine tailings. I wanted to show this because I think it's important to show that we're not only dealing with a small isolated area, the tailings pond, but also some of the surrounding areas. And this shows, this reddish color is obviously the most prevalent thing you see when you look into the water, and that would just be because of the iron content. But yeah, it's very acidic and contains many, many contaminants which are going to have to be dealt with, hopefully sooner than later. Okay, so here we have the results. When we came out in August, we just did a basic estimation of vegetation cover. As you can see, the control had 0 cover. The lime is very, very, very minimal cover. And then our successive treatments here, the 2, 3, and 4 were the initial compost treatments, and the 6 is the ash that was taken after the fact because of the availability. Now this is the vegetation cover in November, and as you can see, the previous 3 treatments have recovered nicely, and most of them were, treatment 4 is lagging a little behind, but all of the treatments were very, very, very healthy. The cover was close to 100%, and in treatment 6 it was actually 100%. The number of plant species, this was from August, the first trip that we made out there, and the reason why this number 6 has so many more number of species is because, as I mentioned previously, there were some weed seeds contained within the ash that was brought on site. But generally they were pretty close. And it didn't change much in November. It was basically the same story. Plant health in August. Clearly the treatments are doing much better than the control, and much, much better than the lime. Where the plants did grow in the lime treatment, they were yellowing and very unhealthy looking, very stunted. The treatments were very lush, green, and growing very well. And same story in November. Not much difference there. So, the basic conclusions that we drew from this pilot scale project were that the tailings at the mine would not support extensive growth on their own. There would be no sustainable growth without intervention on our part. Even going in and applying lime to adjust the pH is not a sufficient method of remediation out here. The biofertilizers would most certainly enhance the growth and speed up the restoration of the ecology in this area, and I think that is a major issue out here, is actually getting that vegetation established, and the faster it can be done, the more advantageous it's going to be. Now, just from the short period of time where we conducted this pilot scale, we saw amazing results. The vegetation was healthy, the vegetation established very, very well and spread. Even with a lack of rainfall in the beginning of the project, we still got exceptional results. When we went in and did all of those soil samples that we sent away to the lab to get analyzed, also told a very interesting story. pH was one of the more interesting ones, where the pH was significantly raised in the top 0 to 6 inches in all of the treatments. The lime was not so much, but it did definitely make a difference in the pH. And when compared to the control, it was a definite improvement in the pH profile of the soil. As far as the heavy metals, there wasn't a lot of change. We didn't really look too deeply into this because the heavy metals are going to be there one way or the other. Nutrients was one thing that was a significant change in the upper 0 to 6 inch layer.